Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good friend, John Taylor. John, how we doing?
Hey, Josh, I'm doing well, but that doesn't matter. Happy birthday.
Hey,
Happy Father's
thanks,
Day.
buddy. I
How was
appreciate it.
Yeah, how was your day?
It was great. It was I kind of got a weekend, which I feel like look, when your birthday is literally on Father's Day, you deserve a weekend. Like, you deserve all 3 days.
Yeah.
And it was. We actually, as a family, we got to go to the Brewer game on Friday. And then Saturday, I got to go to a nice dinner with my wife and no children.
Nice.
Which is a huge deal when you have a 10-month-old. And then on Sunday, I just did nothing. I literally just chilled. I didn't do any work. I didn't change diapers. It was glorious. So it was fantastic.
Yeah. Was that the Friday? Was that the game they won 3-2? Was that
yes.
the close one? Yeah.
That is correct.
Cool.
Yes, indeed.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was a great game. Shout out to Visit Milwaukee. Gave me some tickets. Had some 11 rows behind home plate. So
Wish they would have gave you nice Thursday tickets, as far as I'm concerned.
Why is that?
Because Jacob Mizorowski finally made his big league debut.
He did. He made an awesome debut and almost gave me a heart attack in the same game.
Absolutely, he did.
So he almost throws a no-hitter. It was 6 innings, right? He went 6 innings of shutout baseball.
5, and then he injured himself during the first at bat. So technically 5 innings of hitless baseball.
Yeah.
His second pitch clocked at 102.
Yeah.
Yeah. His stuff is absolutely nasty. Did you watch the game live? Because
I did see it up until he got pulled, and then I had to go.
Well, they were up 6-0 at that point. They were totally in cruise control.
Yeah, but then the fact that he left with anything, any potential, I'm scarred, right? Like, when I see something happen with a pitcher in a Brewers uniform and someone comes out and takes them off the mound due to injury-like concerns.
Yeah.
It ends up being they're done for 4 months, 6 months, a year and a half, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's not, they say we're being precautious. There's never that. It's always an actual injury. And so great. This guy's throwing nasty stuff, and now he's done.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that they were saying that his leg was cramping, and they had other concerns. So the fact that he rolled his ankle at all, it was just an easy pull the plug situation. My guess is that they were happy with those 5. That's all they were really counting on. I mean, obviously they would have loved to, but he worked through some innings. There was I think it was the 3rd or 4th inning. Sorry, this game's been a while ago, but
yeah.
Mizorowski debuting is it's been I would say Bucks winning the championship and this not the same thing, but there have been few sports moments where I've been really excited, and I wish I had more people out here who liked it. I don't have anybody that I can be like, hey, do you want to watch Brewers baseball with me? The number 1 pitching prospect is finally getting called up now that the Super 2 is over. The answer is no. So I was sitting here in this office watching the game, having a great time. But yeah, the injury, he's young. That's the other great thing. He's real young. He's a lanky dude. It's hilarious. He's got an interesting body composition, but super nice. His whole family was there. So really special moment. The big thing I wanted to point out immediately was that his pitches are breaking StatCast. He's throwing a 96 mile an hour slider that is just not registering. His changeup is 91 miles an hour. That's how fast his fastball is. 10 miles off is still where we wish Woodruff's pitch velocity would be at.
Yeah. Super fair point.
And then his curveball is dropping in at 89 miles an hour. But it was just funny. Things were getting clocked as and it was just funny hearing I forget who's the guy that fills in on the broadcast when BA can't be there. And it's not Jeff, it's the other guy. He used to play baseball. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
he's a younger guy. I forget, but he was just calling it out the whole time. He was just, he was just kind of well, that's clearly not that pitch. Clearly, this is not exactly what's going on. So it was just fun. I mean, it's nice. He is going to be a dude for sure, 100%. And it was obvious the Brewers couldn't wait any longer. I mean, you can knock all you want. I just think he demonstrated enough in Nashville. He worked on the things he needed to. I mean, the big thing is always going to be control, right? His command of his pitches. That's going to be the big thing, is making sure that
health. That and health.
Well,
Like,
you're just saying that he doesn't have an injury history.
Well,
I'm just talking about Mizorowski, the player.
yeah, I'm saying like longevity though. Like usually, if someone has super nasty stuff,
Sure.
they
You're
don't
saying, yeah,
they don't for 8 years go without some type of injury.
yeah,
And so, I pray to God that he's the case.
yeah.
But like, look at Strasburg and like a lot of those guys. Like, you're like, oh my God, no one's going to be able to keep up with this guy, and they couldn't until
Until
something
they could.
happened.
Well, the good news is that in 8 years he won't be a Brewer because they won't
That's
be
a
able to afford him.
super fair point.
So,
yeah,
as long as the wheels
he will
don't
be
fall
long
off.
gone.
As long as the
Yeah.
wheels don't fall off while we still have. I guess I'm just excited about it, and it was a no-brainer, which is great. He was supposed to pitch tonight at the time of recording.
Mhm.
There was supposed to be a Brewers game going on with him
Mhm.
debuting, which is annoying. But because Chicago Wrigley Field is a dumpster of a stadium,
Yep.
they get rained out, and so now this game has been moved till August 18th. Why they're not just doing a doubleheader on Friday, I'll never understand.
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
Or tomorrow.
I'm sure it's TV, right?
That's probably,
Yes.
I mean, it always is. But now it's apparently going to be a split on August 18th. So they're going to do a day game at Wrigley at 1:20, and then they'll be back at 7. So the good news is, according to Kurt Hogue, and this is just kind of math, if the Brewers keep their pitching plans in order and don't rearrange their rotation because of this day off, it sets up for Mizorowski, Paul Skeens next Wednesday in Milwaukee.
Ooh.
So if that's the case and you're a Brewers fan, I can't think of a single reason why you shouldn't be trying to get to that game. Because that is like, you're talking about two of the the hardest throwing starting pitchers in the league.
Yeah.
So that'll be very, very fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully Mizorowski doesn't get the Paul Skeens treatment, which is what, throwing like a 1.34 ERA and still having a losing record.
Losing. Yep.
That stat is a few weeks old, so it might have changed, but you get the idea. But yeah, Mizorowski's debut had a rippling effect in the organization as well. Guess who was none too pleased to be moved to the bullpen?
Yeah, I heard there was one specific player who threw a fit. He threw a little fit about it. Aaron something or other.
Yeah,
mad.
Aaron Savali. Yeah. Really interesting. I mean, it's dated at this point, but it came. It got reported by what, national pundits? Was
Yeah.
Aston? I mean, it got national coverage. His agent leaked that Murph made the announcement the day before this leak came out that they called up Miz on like Tuesday, right? And he made his debut Thursday. So Wednesday it came out, hey, my client is unhappy. He's never came out of the bullpen his entire career. He doesn't want to start now. And so, yeah, that's interesting. It was Thursday morning. The timeline is this. Mizorowski got called up. On Wednesday, Murph said, we're moving Savali to the bullpen. And then Thursday morning before the game, his agent, he has a funny agent name too. It's just like Soft or something.
Like
super
fun.
It's not important. Either way, Aaron Savali's slated to be a free agent next year. So I do sympathize and empathize with this idea that this is going to be his only real chance to get a big major league payday. And it's going to be a lot harder to do if you spent half the season coming out of the Brewers bullpen. So I understand. But but I was giving Mizorowski all that praise because it just is what it is. It's the short man on the stick. Savali's been fine, but he's very medium. I think he could be a very good 3 or 4 for a lot of teams. The Brewers, like always, have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to pitchers. Even with the injuries, we still, between like Robert Gasser and Brandon Woodruff, like we still have too many guys who can pitch. Like Logan Henderson got called down. We still haven't seen Tobias Myers, who was electric last year. So, I'm just saying, I'm not surprised. But boy, Mizorowski made his debut. What did I see the first thing I woke up on Friday morning? Aaron Savali traded to the second worst baseball team in the entire MLB. If you want, hey bud, go have fun starting with a team that is not even going to come close to sniffing the playoffs.
Right. Let's see how many opportunities you get, how many wins you get. Talk about the Paul Skeens treatment, and I don't even know what we got back for him.
We got Andrew Vaughn. Yeah, Andrew Vaughn. He is a first base /
who's in the minors
outfielder. He got designated to the minors right away. They got him. He is not. It's a super buy low, sell high situation. He's a rehab candidate for sure. He needs
Okay.
to figure his swing out. He's hit in the last 4.5 seasons. He hit 77 home runs, so 17 that's still pretty high on the list when it comes to Brewers. So he's got the power. He got sent to the minors, I think, by the White Sox. Either he had a stint or he got called back up. But either way, his OPS dropped to like just north of like 500. Is not going to cut it for the MLB, for the major leagues. But if they can figure out his swing, he could be the answer for first baseman. Am I going to hold my breath? No. But is it hilarious that in his Nashville Sounds debut, he hit a grand slam yesterday? Yes, that is hilarious.
Yes, it is.
So I don't remember. There was like a report, some major, I think it was a Bob Nightingale. Somebody said that if Andrew Vaughn can show that he can hit and they like what they see from him, you could see a world where they look to move Rhys Hoskins, because Rhys's batting has plummeted several points. And I know batting average is dead with all the advanced stats, but
yeah, I hate that. I still appreciate batting average.
Yeah, well, we were riding high in April that he had figured out his hitting, but boy, has it come back down to earth in a big way. So you might be able to convince a team. So we'll see. But very exciting. A lot of Brewers news compared to your typical ho-hum Brewer stuff. I mean, usually the only time you're hearing about them is they're trying to figure out who we can trade off our team to make the Yankees better, or the Dodgers better, or we're always in standings watch, which we probably need to touch on a little bit here, but.
Yeah, so I wanted to quickly talk about that, because the last time that we were doing this podcast together, you had said like how they had a little bit of a tough stretch, but they had some easy games before that. I said, well, I don't know, because they just beat the Phillies, so who knows? And you went through and you were like, they got a cakewalk series against the Braves, who are having an awful year. You're not wrong about that. They are doing terrible. They went ahead and took 2 or 3 from the Brewers. And I watched those games, and first of all, 7-1 Braves, and then 6-2 Braves. Those were the losses for the Brewers in those games. And I was just like, son of a bitch. Like, it's something. It just seems like when you think that the Brewers have figured it out, then they go and they lose some games to teams that they absolutely should not lose games to. And I don't know what that does for like the mental, psyche of the team. And then right after those, then you had the Cardinals into now the Cubs.
So they went 3-5 on that homestand. So not great, Bob. I honestly, I really thought, I was hoping they would ride the momentum of playing. We already talked about this, the Padres series. We talked about it last game. I mean, they scored 2 runs in 2 games. Yeah. So, or in 1 game, and those games were way more competitive than the Braves series. Since watching the Braves, I don't know if you get this impression, but looking at their lineup, I don't understand how they're as bad as they are. It's not Howard. I'm not really like Howard.
I've been saying that about the Brewers hitting for a long time.
No, I mean the Braves actually have big league hitters up and down their lineup. It's blown my mind how bad they've been. So, of course, they find their bats in Milwaukee. I mean, AmFam is a hitter's ballpark, but you're not wrong. I was watching that series I was feeling very deflated at the same old runners left in scoring position. We're getting guys on, we're getting extra base hits. It doesn't really amount to a hill of beans. So pretty disappointing homestand there. And then obviously we go to Chicago yesterday and did not come out with the win, clearly.
So let's talk about, first of all, 4-game series against the Cardinals, who were still ahead of the Brewers at the time of that series starting. And the Brewers take 3 of 4 from the Cardinals, which is always great. I'm always a fan of beating the Cardinals. Anytime, could be some spring training, doesn't matter. I love it. So that was good. But then they lose the first game to the Cubs, and then you take a look at the standings, and you go, oh, cool that we got past the Cardinals. We are 6.5 games behind the Cubs. All of those wins that, that hey, this team turned it around so quickly. Are they just like, now we're in June, right? We're not to the All-Star break. A lot of things can happen. Things can still turn around. But this Cubs team is finding ways to distance themselves in the division, and I'm I'm not a fan. And these
Yeah.
games against them are huge.
Yeah.
And losing that first one in Wrigley sucked. And now we can't even see the Brewers bounce back because they didn't put a roof on it. So,
well, the good news is I was fully prepared to come into this podcast and say, if the Brewers lose 3 games to the Cubs this weekend and we're at 8.5 games outside of first place, we might be in cellar territory. And you know what I mean? We might need to start. So we literally cannot get to 8.5 games. And I think if they went 1-2, I'm not saying they need to sell. So mathematically, we're not sellers yet, baby, thanks to the rain delay. So, Mother Nature doing its part. Their offense is bad. And I keep thinking about how I forgot Garrett Mitchell existed. That's how injured he's been.
Yep.
I think he got reinstated or assigned for rehab. Blake Perkins got assigned for rehab. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why would you pull Isaac Collins out of left field right now with the way he's playing, hitting? Garrett Mitchell should take center field if he gets back, but we were talking about utility guys in the outfield. Is Blake going to come back and do anything more that Isaac's not giving you? Like defensively, he's not a sieve. He's not the reason. His defense is not the reason we're losing games. And he's the only one who's seemingly finding ways to get on base. He had he got 2 hits yesterday. Let me check the box score real quick, but he's the only guy actually hitting.
So you're right. And I feel like sometimes maybe that's an old school baseball thought of like, even though you were doing well, like it still wasn't your position. Like someone has to lose it first for you to take it. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to lose it due to injury.
Yeah. That's the old adage, right? You can't lose your spot due to injury is the thought, but
so I don't know if that is, I'm assuming, I guess that's still Murph's mentality about it. And that's why, but also, Murph doesn't really seem to care. I could see him being like right back. And I don't know that it's going to be a permanent thing, especially if they lose another one of the Cubs. Who knows? I do want to point out too, that as far as like wild card, if you were thinking, well, maybe the Brewers can still be a wild card spot. They are currently, after you take away the division leaders, they are currently in 4th place. 4th place. In the wild card. So right now they would not be making the playoffs in any way, shape, or form. So just something to think about. Not saying that it couldn't happen, right? Obviously they're right there. But this is definitely not a year to where like the Brewers and the Cubs are both doing so well that one of the teams is going to be the number 1 wild card and the other one's going to win the division. That's not what's happening. And it's I don't even know that regardless of what happens with the rest of the series, that the Brewers are taking the division from the Cubs.
Yeah, they're good.
They haven't shown me all year enough for me to say this team, listen, they're going through a rough patch, but this team's got it. Like,
yeah,
they started flat with injuries. There have been more injuries. There's been cold bats. It's been a rough go all the way to June.
Yeah. The real problem too is the Cubs' biggest Achilles heel right now is their pitching. And if they just go out and get a couple arms at the trade deadline, because they actually have the means to sign whatever contracts, or sign the checks for whatever contracts they trade for, they'll get better considerably, not worse. They're not selling, and it's bad. The Brewers just need to play competitive baseball. We've talked about it over and over again. I'm just not holding my breath that they're going to make the postseason anymore. I'd love to see it, but at this point, they just need to find some reasons to be excited about the offense. And Jackson flashes, William Contreras, even with his broken hand, seems to be getting on base, finding ways to get on base. But man, Joey Ortiz, Caleb Durbin, even Bryce, and Bryce is a platinum glover, so you're going to live with his offense no matter what. It's why he's batting in the 7th hole. But boy, it's bad on the left side of the infield, and we talk about it every episode. But in every episode, it's just getting worse. Joey Ortiz is batting like 188. I can find out, but it's
horrid.
It's disgustingly bad, and we don't even have an option. Well, you're you're not going to bring up the U and put him in shortstop, right? So it's just kind of like I don't know. I do not know what the Brewers' plan is, and the plan could just be ride it out. Jesus take the wheel, and then just wait for your prospects to maybe get Brock Wilkins, Tyler Black, if he can ever show what he can do. Like there are guys in the farm system that you think could be, but they're not going to be ready this year, and they're not going to be ready to help close a 6.5 game gap. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully the Cubs hit a rough patch, and the Brewers, I mean, they don't even need, this is the thing. The pitching, we went into the season saying like the pitching is not going to be able to keep it to 3 runs and below. And guess what? They still are doing that with a bunch of guys we would have never guessed were going to be starting, even with the late signing of Jose Quintana, it's like Freddie is the only guy in the rotation that we started the year being like, oh, he's going to be the guy for us.
Yeah. Fastball Freddie will hold it together. I 100%. And I think at the end of last year, there was a lot of optimism around these young guys that had their rookie years, and everyone was like, is this the new, like Weeks, Fielder, like, are these guys, like what we saw from Churio at the end of the season? All of this stuff gave just so much promise, and sophomore slump like crazy. And you never know if those guys are going to continue to be like, baseball's so weird that way, where you never know how it's going to go, how a player is going to be. We could say that Garrett Mitchell is garbage and that he's just, he's never going to be, but then we could trade the guy and he could be an all-star for the Orioles or wherever he goes. Like, it's just, you just never know. And it can be very frustrating when you have to rely on those guys continuing to get better because you don't have the payrolls and the pocketbooks of the Cubs, Yankees, Dodgers, all these other teams that can just go, this guy's not working, let's go buy someone new.
Yeah. The issue is, in the years past, there has been moments where Mark A has, opened up the checkbook for guys that you would typically say like, oh, there's no way they'll go after him. I'm not talking about Juan Soto, but you're saying like, oh, this guy makes X amount of dollars, there's no way the Brewers will go get him. And they will, if they feel like they could actually make a competitive push. Mark A he's a cheapskate in a lot of ways, but it's not like the Brewers have been consistent sellers. They have bought in seasons they felt confident.
Yeah.
The issue, and this is, I feel like we bring it up every so often, but man, we needed these guys to produce at a level that would replace Willy Adames' production in our lineup. And you can ignore what he's doing in San Francisco. I know he's not playing well, but the fact of the matter is, as a Brewer, he was an offensive unit. He won us several games off of the strength of his bat and his bat alone. And one of these guys needed to fill that. So all the random Joey Ortiz hits, all the random Caleb Durbin hits, all of this stuff is on top of offensive production that we needed to see out of Garrett Mitchell, out of Yelich coming back. And we're just not seeing it. So it's like, we're not even talking about how do we get to competitive baseball with the rest of the league. It's like, how do we get back to where we were last year? Right. And sadly, a lot of guys have taken steps back, or positions just have not been answered. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. I think
literally, if you're trying to be optimistic about this team, the only thing you can really hang your hat on right now is that it's June.
Yeah.
And that
Jacob Mizorowski's on the roster. It's really like, it's kind of like the only few things I'm excited about, truthfully. I'll keep watching, and they'll keep winning series, but it's just like, when is the Brewers 11-game win streak? Does it happen this year? I don't know. We got pretty close.
Yeah.
But I'm not holding my breath. I'll tell you that much, sadly.
Yeah. So we will continue to wait and see and hope that they figure it out, because we have no really other choice as far as the Brewers are concerned. Let's change gears.
One last gear. We can change gears, but it's still in the Brewers lane. I just want to call out, the Brewers are doing something very cool.
Yes, they are.
And that is on July 25th.
Yes.
They're doing an alumni home run derby. Do you have any extra details about that? Otherwise, I can read the press announcement.
Yeah, go ahead. I saw the graphic. I saw some of the players that are going to be there.
July 25th, star-studded home run derby to feature fan favorites Ryan Braun, Giovanni Gallardo, Carlos Gomez, Bill Hall, Corey Hart, Casey McGee, Niger Morgan, Eric Thames. I never knew how to pronounce his name. Ed Cedar on the mound, and George Kataris catching. What a cool home run derby. Just like Paul Skeens versus Mizorowski, you gotta get to that. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Out of all those guys, I know who's probably going to win, but who's your favorite?
Yeah, so let's take Braun out of it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
you see Braun and you know, just remembering Braun's swing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And like also like I feel like so I'm thinking like honestly looking at it, I was thinking Thames.
Nice.
Because I thought that after he got out, like then he went international. Like he wasn't done. So I was trying to think back to like who played most recently.
Yeah.
And I think it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was like, well, with his power, he was probably staying in shape the most recent in comparison to those other guys who were done besides Braun, obviously. A little bit earlier, you know, Hart. Yeah. I don't remember the last time Morgan played for a team.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be, it's not sexy. It's not going to get the crowd rip roaring, but I think that Thames is going to be,
yeah,
you might
I
win
like
it.
that was not on my radar. I love it. I think Carlos Gomez could maybe do it. He had a really pure stroke, and I just think like it might translate. That's fair enough. What my heart wants is Hart. I have like a percent, you know, when certain things in your life find you at the right time, and you just like get, just like not unhealthy, but you get attached to players or things in sports depending on where your life.
Yeah.
And Corey Hart was that for me. It like I had just kind of like I was late to baseball. My dad was really upset about the lockout in the 90s, and so we just didn't watch it in my house. Like you and our other friend Josh, just like being 16 and like going to games is when I went to more games like the first year or two of me getting into baseball than I ever watched on TV. And it was just truly because it was just never on in my house. So it's like I have such a unhealthy relationship with Corey Hart. Unhealthy being like, I just really like the guy. I don't think he has any business winning this, but that's where I want it. My heart says Hart.
That team, that stretch was everything for me.
Yeah.
Braun, Fielder, Weeks, Hart, you know, all the way up until when Hoffman, you know, got his save there. Like that time period in Brewers baseball was, you know, that 2011, 2008 to 2012, like those 4 years were, I mean, the best. They were the best memories for me of Brewers baseball. I'm not saying that like the team in like, you know, 2018 with Yelich and then where they almost made it was not exciting, but it just didn't have the same feel to me.
You had a child. You were a dad, you know?
Sure.
2000.
Right. I wasn't going to 50 games in a season.
I know. I'm saying 2008 to like 2011 when they made those playoff push. Like we were in college, we had nothing better to do. It's like our only jobs were like get ourselves to class, and then it was the summer
the Brewer game, and then find a way to get tickets.
Well, and also I don't know if I've ever said this like on the podcast. I probably have. I worked at the Fridays front row there for like 6 years, so I saw a lot of baseball games.
Yeah,
I went from not seeing any to seeing a lot in person, but obviously a lot of fun history there. I got to play like kickball on Hellfair Field, and I got to take batting practice and run the bases on Miller Park like after the season. So yeah, that special time. I mean, I guess it's more special than I lead on. It's not like I just got into baseball. Like it was my job.
Yeah, there was
paying
other
for my
stuff
bills.
going on.
Yeah. But Corey Hart's my guess, but I think Carlos Gomez could sneakily take it. But
I would like any of those guys more than
Ryan Braun is probably the safe pick. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Dude, this is another fun game because I just thought I'd look. How many home runs did Giovanni Gallardo hit in his career as a major league pitcher?
I know
DH did exist.
I know that it's more than 0.
Yes, he hit some. That's why I was like, huh.
And I'll tell you why. Because before I answer your question, there was a guy on the Brewers team named Bill Hall. And when Bill Hall was up, people used to go, Bill Hall, Bill Hall. And I'm at a game with Josh Kukta, our mutual friend, and John Taylor, who's doing this podcast with me. And John Taylor goes, yo, Vladdy Gallardo. And it was like the funniest thing because his name was so many more syllables, but it was a thing, and we would cheer him on. And I promise you, we were at a game when something happened.
Yeah,
with
I remember. I
him.
have a distinct memory of being at a game where he hit a home run for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. He got 7.
Nice. Higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much higher?
Well, do you want me to give you the answer?
Yeah, I mean that's my guess.
He hit 12. He hit 12 home runs in his
There you go.
career. Yeah. Yeah, he got a pair of home runs in 2009, giving him 4 homers in his career at that point.
I love it.
Yeah.
God, I kind of miss when pitchers had to bat.
Yeah. Inside scoop. Remember, there's a lot of reports too that you could catch Giovanni Gallardo on like third, what is it, like Water Ave or Old World 3rd Street?
Oh
just,
yeah,
like blackout drunk in bars, just vibing.
Yeah,
It's probably
He got a DUI. He got a DUI.
Yeah. So
remember that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
We were like one of us. One of us. Yeah.
I don't know about all of us, but
no. I mean, I don't have one, but I'm saying people were celebrating the fact that he's like he also drinks a lot of beer.
Very Wisconsin for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Cool. All right, that was the last little Brewers thing. It's a cool thing.
I like that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move quick towards these, but this is some news, and we do have to talk about it. After the last time we did a podcast, Jair Alexander was released from the Green Bay Packers. This came as a surprise because the Packers did not make his position one of immediate need in the draft. And so we all went, well, looks like Jair's going to be back. And then it was like Jair coming back. And it was like, okay, yep. So now we just have to worry about what his performance is. Is he healthy? You know, they must think so. Otherwise, they would have done something. And then he's released. Packers don't trade him. They don't do it. He's just cut. He's gone.
Yeah. Which we spoke on that. I think it just spoke to the idea that it was clear that the Packers were not interested in, they were never going to pay out that $17.5 million contract. Sounds like they countered. And I think Jair Alexander played his only card. I think I'll get a better deal somewhere else than to do some incentive-laden deal that would keep him in Green Bay.
So he did just that, right? Because it was announced yesterday, one of the
today. Breaking news as of this morning. Jair Alexander signs a 1-year, $6 million contract, reported by both Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter.
With
the Baltimore Ravens.
Lamar
Jackson, fellow college teammate. So there was a lot of scuttlebutt around the idea that maybe they would go after him. Some early reports did make it seem like that he actually did take less money to go be in Baltimore to play with Lamar. Your mileage may vary on whether or not that's true. After looking at that contract, I don't know if that's true because it was reported 1 year, $6 million, but it's actually a 1 year, $4 million. And he stands to make $500,000 more dollars for each of the following playing time thresholds. If he plays 35% of the season, that's another $500K. 40, 45, and 50 are all $500K bonuses. $2 million in every reachable incentive. So if he plays half the season, he'll make $6 million. That's how little the Baltimore Ravens think that'll actually happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think it's very obvious to me that Goody and the Packers did the right thing. If he would have went out and signed somewhere and some team threw 14, I thought he might sign somewhere. I thought he'd get double digits for sure. And I just think it goes to show you and fans, the league pays attention to injuries. They are not interested in bringing in guys who haven't played more than half a season in the last 2 years. I thought I'm going to sound a little flip-floppy because I said if you can keep Jair around, why not? But I always said it was going to have to be a deal that was friendly to the Packers. Like Jair's play and his injury history did not do him any favors. Sounds like the Packers offered him a number and there were zero incentives attached. His dad apparently went on ESPN radio somewhere in Wisconsin and basically said, we would have stayed if they would have at least offered like $8 million, and they weren't willing to do that. And I think it just turns into a thing where it's like the Packers wanted him back on that exact price. And when it didn't happen, it's time to go. There's only so much.
Which the Packers do all the time.
Totally. I was just going to say, look at Aaron Jones. Hey, right. we want you back at this. No. All right. Good luck. And they bring in guys who they think can fit the type of profile they need. You know, it's like you were on this podcast saying, I am so concerned. And then Josh Jacobs comes in and does everything the Packers needed in running back and honestly more.
Josh Jacobs is a way different situation than our current replacement of Jair Alexander concerns.
I don't disagree, but I think in football right now, it's kind of like basketball. It's not it's a weak link system is what I'm saying. We're no longer saying like two guys in the secondary can carry an entire unit because you'll just feast on the bad guys. And I listen, when Jair is playing, he made the Packers really great. But the truth is, more times than not, he was not playing. So you gotta subtract Jair from half the season anyways. And we start looking at the fact that we swapped out Eric Stokes for Nate Hobbs. That's a way better look. When you look at, hey, if Nate Hobbs is going to play the boundary now for sure, and Javon Bullard is probably going to be living in nickel, all of a sudden, if there's less shuffling around in pieces, this becomes a lot more tenable. And that is not to say that I don't think the Packers should go explore finding another cornerback somewhere. It's getting to the point where people like Andy Herman have me thinking like, damn, maybe they should go get Jalen Ramsey because at least the guy has played over 1,000 snaps in each of the last, his entire career. Like at least the guy's on the field. So you just don't know. But I will say this, the Packers are right. They were right to move on from him. The market bore that out. And it's a shame that they didn't overpay him, but the Packers don't overpay people, period.
No, they never have.
They are not sentimental like that. And you're not going to be sentimental about a player who was actively causing problems in the locker room. And we'll never get the full story, I'm sure of it. It's always going to be he said, they said in terms of the organization about injuries and what does that look like and taking it seriously and not. Because that's the other stuff his dad was saying. Like if the Packers would have taken that injury seriously in the first place, he would never miss this much time. I don't know. I just don't know. I think there's always been whispers about how serious Jair is willing to take the league if it's not about him. And I wish him nothing but the best. The fact that he's a Baltimore Raven means I can actively root for him because I do like him a lot, but it just is what it is. I've always said this, and I probably said this to you when we were like 16 years old, but literally the entire Packers roster could swap players with the Minnesota Vikings players. And guess what? I'm a fan of JJ McCarthy. I'm a fan of Aaron Jones again. Like I root for the Packers, not the players. There's too many. So it just is what it is. I wish him nothing but the best, but I'm going to, at least right now, trust the organization because they've seemingly made the right moves. They're still competitive. They've, so I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I got a lot of
listen,
about it.
When they got rid of Aaron Jones, when they did exactly what they did to Jair, to Aaron Jones, that was to me like, all right, like now I'm numb to them doing this with anyone else. I wasn't surprised when it happened. I didn't honestly really have a feeling one way or another. I was just like, yep, this is what they do. like that was my true, honest, as an emotional sports fan reaction, because if you traded away Aaron Jones for that reason, or didn't trade away, but didn't extend him, right? You let him walk. Then there's no one. Then there was no one that I was going to be surprised if they did the same thing. And so I wasn't surprised that it happened with Jair. I was just concerned, and I still am, about the position. I'm not mad that they let him go. I'm mad that then they didn't give me enough to not worry about with what they did in the draft and offseason.
Yeah. And we don't need to really get it. We kind of, that post-draft, we went over, I think they were looking at cornerback into several different positions, and I just don't think it ever worked out. I will say that there has been a couple reports about some cornerbacks that they were targeting, like Siobhan Revel, somebody who I was really interested in. Apparently the Cowboys are saying there was like a setback for the knee, and I don't know if it was around the same time as the draft, but we're experiencing this with Marshawn Lloyd. Like some guys just come in hurt and they just never really get a chance to come in and contribute. And that's just as bad. Like we can't just draft guys because we want to just, put the tick next to the skill, the position group, right? Like it's just not how the league works. So we'll see. We will definitely see. Mini camp is over. So we're kind of in that like 6-week doldrum. So the only real news is going to be potential signings, contract reworks, contract extensions, Zach Tom. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. But
Yeah.
in terms of the Packers, it's probably going to be pretty all quiet on the Western Front unless they really go make a splash free agent signing,
which I don't see happening.
yeah, I mean, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to trade for Trey. I think that's
No.
seemingly less and less likely. It sounds like clearly the Bengals are going to get bent over a barrel and they're going to have to figure something out. You know, TJ Watt seems to be unhappy, but I don't think the Packers are going to spend any sort of capital. He's also been getting more, what's the word I'm looking for? He's had some injury bugs, nagging stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
losing a step maybe.
Yeah, and it just comes back to the type of guys that the Packers could land are on the older side. And so is Goody going to want to bring somebody like that in? I mean, there's been history. There has been some, but not a ton. You know, we're talking about like Mercedes Lewis was assigning an older player that they got on the cheap. You look at like Whitney Merciless was another guy who was on the older side, one last run. So could a Jadeveon Clowney become a Packer? Maybe. Could they sign Jalen Ramsey if he gets released? They're not going to trade for him, but would they sign him if he got released? Yeah, maybe, potentially.
They'd make him an offer.
They'd make him an
team
offer.
will make him a better offer.
Yeah, they'd make him an offer he could refuse. That is the Packers' MO. Very non-godfatherly of them.
Yep.
But the last big thing would just be, you know, Rasul Douglas is out there. I will say this: he's going to be 30. He took a step back. He lost a step. He is not the same player he was even 3 years ago. Not to say that he couldn't be helpful in the locker room, or you know there isn't value there, but that does feel more like a morale glue type of signing, and I just don't know if the Packers are there to make it. So I am not as concerned about the cornerback room as you are, but anybody who tells me that they're concerned about it, I say you're absolutely right. But Jair Alexander was not going to be the salve that you were looking for.
I agree with that.
It was a problem whether he was coming back or not. And I know you are, but I just see that a lot. Like, well, I guess the Packers don't care about this season. It's like, Jair, they needed to do stuff and then bring him back. And then we go, wow, what a room. But to just go and get him back, we just go, okay.
Right,
fine.
right. I was like, okay. Like, right. When I thought their plan was to run it back with Jair, I still wasn't happy. I was still like, this is still bad. So the fact that he's gone literally changed almost nothing for me in terms of my concern for cornerback room. But we got time.
The cornerbacks are a lot better when they don't have to cover somebody for 7.5 seconds.
Yeah,
that Eagles play, you know.
And so we'll see.
And we'll dive into that. You know, there's definitely some. We are officially entering potential bust territory in some of these draft picks that Goody's made on the defensive front, and so we can talk about it once training camp starts. But boy, they really need some of these guys to round some corners and really start affecting this team, or it's going to be the reason why Jordan Love doesn't make his way to a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, and why the Packers defense never seemingly seems to do enough. But we'll see. We'll see. So,
all right, really quick. Giannis is staying, I think. You never know for sure, but he did in Greece. I don't know. It was on. I think he tweeted or put out. It was
an interview. Media. It was an interview he did with someone. I think it was like a Greek news outlet. Either way, he came out and basically just said, "I hope to be back in the finals very soon with the Bucks."
Yeah.
So, and once that got reported, all of a sudden Windhorst is on ESPN. Bobby Marks. All of a sudden, everyone's talking about how the trade,
Giannis is
increasing skepticism that the Bucks are going to be willing to trade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's such a no-brainer. They denied a straight-up Luka for Giannis trade. If you were worried that Giannis was going to ask for a trade, you have to make that Luka trade straight up.
Yeah,
they're not worried. So, I'm not worried.
God, I love him so much, though.
I know he's the absolute best. He's on he's on TikTok. He's talking about wanting to stream. I'm all about it.
I saw him one time. He was like, "Can we not?" Like he's just answering questions, and he's like people are asking about basketball. He's like, "No, can we talk? Can we not talk about basketball?" And I was like, "I love you. I love you so much." Honestly, I just like the fact that he just wants to like interact with people about talking about anything else. I'm just like, you're amazing. God.
And put Giannis next to Giannis.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. He's been in my background. Yeah, he's great.
Love him. Okay. Last thing, really quick. WWE Monday Night Raw, which happens on Netflix, also happened to take place live at the Resch Center in Green Bay, Wisconsin. No, I'm sorry. It wasn't. Was it the Resch? No.
Yeah, it was the Resch.
Oh, was it the Resch? Okay.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on this. First and foremost, thoughts and prayers, T's and P's to Liv Morgan. I love her. I think that she really has carried so much. I mean, if you look back at the airtime she's gotten on these events, you'd see she's really, truly has carried it. Had a freak accident injury, and a match went down. She's dislocated her arm, shoulder. She's going to be out for like 3 months.
Yeah,
That
I'm seeing
really
now
sucks.
even more. I mean, the dirt sheets are saying she could potentially be out
Longer. Oh no. Well,
Sorry, I'm back.
okay, there you are.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My internet.
That's crazy.
cut out, sorry.
That's okay. Editing. So, yeah. So essentially, she dislocated her arm or shoulder. I don't know, but they said that she could be out 3, maybe even 4 months. It sucks. She had all these storylines that were going to be happening with SummerSlam, which was happening in like her hometown. You could tell that like all the hard work that she'd been putting in, the WWE was going to be, they were going to be rewarding that. And then an accident like this happens. The reason why it sucks for Liv, beyond that, is because they'll bring her back just like they did Asuka, and all these other. But it's such a crazy competitive just division right now with how scorching hot the women are that I don't know that she's going to carry as much heat.
Yeah,
when they bring her back, and that's
I mean, I don't know when magic of editing, folks. My internet cut out a second ago, so sorry for that break. I was saying that I'm seeing some reports on some dirt sheets that she could be out as long as 6 months, which would really change. It's just one, and it's not one I'm really familiar with, so I always take that stuff with a grain of salt. 3 months, it makes her probably miss SummerSlam, which is a huge bummer. But in terms of keeping her character up, she can still do it. There's still a ton of segments that involve the Judgment Day outside of the ring in the back, so she'll still be able to propel storylines, and you know what I mean? So it's not completely lost, but you're not wrong. The other big thing too is Evolution. They're doing another, the all-female PLE that they haven't done in a while. Same idea. Like she was going to have a massive hand in that. They were setting up a Nikki Bella feud.
Yep.
She's arguably the greatest women's tag team wrestler, right? That's the new thing. She gets a spell because she's had it for 4. Liv was not my favorite in the beginning. And it was mostly because she was on this like Liv Morgan revenge tour when I kind of got back into wrestling like 2 years ago. But you're not wrong. She is fantastic. She's been a fantastic heel. You could tell with the addition of Roxanne, she's kind of turning face. Like there is a baby face turn coming. So it's really unfortunate, like you said. It just is really unfortunate because when you talk about workers and people who have just been
busted her ass, man.
Yeah, she's really helped carry the women's division a lot. I mean, she's on Raw, she's on SmackDown, she was down in NXT defending the belt. So it's like
she's everywhere. Yeah.
So wish her a speedy recovery for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing was, let's talk quickly. So Goldberg came back. That was super predictable. It was all in the tea leaves. He's going to be in a match. It'll be 6 minutes long. I'm already over it. I want to talk about the fact that Monday Night Raw was in Green Bay instead of Milwaukee. I feel like this has happened a decent amount. There are differing opinions. John, you had said to me before we did the podcast, just because Milwaukee's so close to Chicago, right? And so they're not going to have a Monday Night Raw in Chicago and Milwaukee. That could be it. I also wonder if it's that Milwaukee really brings in the numbers. I've been to a few shows at Fiserv and, before that, Bradley Center. And I feel like it's been a decent amount of time since Milwaukee's really like sold out, showed up for a weekly event. And I just wonder if they, listen, they do their homework. And I wonder if they saw like, look, we can go to Green Bay and the people that really love us from Milwaukee and, Southeastern Wisconsin, they're going to make that drive. Our friend Jake Olson was one of those people. He made that drive with his son to go there. And I don't know. It kind of sucks because I want Milwaukee to be on the map always. Yeah. And So it is disappointing to me, especially there. It wasn't that long ago where the mayor was talking about trying to get like a Royal Rumble or something, like put in a bid to have it at American Family Field after they, were going to do these updates and things of this nature to be able to host a bigger event. And then you see them take their prized weekly show now on Netflix, and they're doing it from Green Bay. So I don't know. I wasn't a huge. I was disappointed, I guess, that was how it ended up going. And if anything comes to Milwaukee, it's going to be SmackDown, which is still the inferior weekly program in comparison to Raw.
Yeah. I don't know. I get your point. I hear all that. I really do think it's as simple as whatever the main brand is, they're going to put it in Chicago over it. Because you think about it, our entire time growing up, we only ever got SmackDowns in Milwaukee is because they were in Raw in Chicago, in one of the what is widely considered one of the best wrestling cities in the entire world, right? It's just a proximity issue. When all of the main stars moved to SmackDown, when they got moved to Fox, oh, look at that. Milwaukee started getting Raw and not SmackDown because they want big sellouts on their most viewed product. I also am saying this from experience being in Portland. Guess what I saw a year ago, or like last September? I went to Raw. I think we talked about it. I went to Raw. Guess what? Raw went to Netflix. Guess what was back in Portland as recent as like a few months ago? SmackDown. And it's the same problem. We're right next to Seattle. They're going to put their big shows in the bigger market near it. I think Green Bay is far enough away, and it's shown that they can sell out. It looks like they started doing. Green Bay has hosted a Raw or SmackDown 11 times, and they had a King of the Ring in 2006. So I don't know if it's bids or whatever. I think it's like touring. I think like it allows them to it's a lot of like, I used to play in a band, and it truly is just markets and touring. And if they're not getting all the way down to Milwaukee and they want a sellout show, and why not just go do it in Green Bay, right? So there's some history and some precedents. I want Milwaukee to be on the map for a ton of stuff. I think a Royal Rumble at AmFam would be incredible, because I think they should be thinking about roofs and retractable roofs and the comfortability of the guests. Because I keep thinking of night one of WrestleMania in Philly and how dead the crowd was because it was like 50 degrees outside in April. Like, these are considerations that, frankly, you don't have to worry about in that situation. So I think it's cool. I just think the older I get, the more I'm like, I could take a day off and drive up to Green Bay. So I just think it's cool that part. And let's talk about this. There's some buzz about the fact that NFL draft was just there.
That's
they
true.
got to celebrate the
Packers. I'm saying. Yeah. Green Bay is being put on the map.
Yeah.
More than Milwaukee is right now. That's my whole point. I'm not anti Green Bay, right? I love the whole state of Wisconsin. Like I want all of Wisconsin to be celebrated. I'm just saying I don't like that Milwaukee is still the major city in our state, and it's losing ground just because of Chicago. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it. I stubbornly hate it. And Chicago. So that was my complaint about that. Best wishes to Liv. I hope you get better. Jair, have fun in Baltimore. Brewers, please find a way to get more hits and score more runs, please. I would appreciate that. And Giannis, please come back and be a Buck.
Yeah. Stay a Buck. Don't even come back.
Buck.
Just stay. You're already here.
You're here. Stay here.
The easiest thing to do is keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
One last little thing about wrestling real quick. I also have a special announcement. It also sounds like you might have an announcement you want to make about this summer. My special announcement is that I've purchased my first wrestling Topps trading card.
Wow.
Yeah. Because anytime you get a chance to get the Glamour's initial debut wrestling card, you got to do it. And that is, of course, Blake Monroe, NXT's newest superstar.
Is this going to start a thing for you?
It's already it's been a thing. I've been a huge Mariah May fan for that same thing for a while. So
wow.
But I just honestly, it was a cheap card, and I've been seeing people talking about like pulling packs, and I was like, and then they somewhere posted that they were debuting an NXT card for Blake Monroe, who was Mariah May in AEW. I was like, you know what?
Sure.
This might be the time where I start. So you might just see more wrestling cards pop up.
More cards pop up behind you.
Yeah.
I love it. My summer news had nothing to do with wrestling.
Yeah. It doesn't.
But I will say I wear a lot of these goofy shirts on the podcast. They're from a company called Roosevelt's, and I was it's like the president's name, but without the with no vowels.
Yeah, it's results if you
Take away the E, make a V. Yes.
yeah.
But I was able to get them to do a collaboration with Summerfest. And so this is I would put this on, but it's a size large. This one's for Julie. But you can see a little bit of the design there.
Yeah, we got the home bridge, we got some music notes, we got the iconic Summerfest logo, we got little sailboats.
Yeah,
it's a great shirt. I love it.
It's a great little summer vibes in Milwaukee. And it was just awesome that these two things that are very important to me in my life came together, and we were able to get this done. And there are going to be very limited amount of shirts that are going to be able to be purchased only at the Summerfest store on the Summerfest grounds during Summerfest. And when they are gone, they're gone. There's no reorder. So if you have the opportunity to go and buy one, I ask that you do, and let me know. So yes, I was very proud of that. I was very proud that it.
Congrats!
That work
awesome.
came to a final. We crossed the finish line. We got it done. So, all right. We told ourselves like we don't have to go a whole hour today, and we still did, and we still got there. Just too many things to talk about.
Yep.
And hopefully a lot of positive and awesome things to talk about on the next episode of Don't Tell Me How to Fan, because we are not done yet.